We look into some more goths today, see what they're doing on Instagram, see if my influence has caused any change in behavior. I've seen certain familiar sentiments being shared across the gothosphere. Now, I don't want to take credit for everything here, but like I said, it does sound familiar. Did I wear a jacket on? This or with a jacket? What do you think? Feeling a little bit exposed here. What do you think? Leave a comment. Jacket or not. I'm gonna put the jacket on for the first half, take the jacket off for the next half. I thrifted this cool leather jacket. It's obviously from like 1935 because of how old it looks, but I do like it. There's nothing worse than like going back and watching my video to edit it and just be like, oh man, I should have this. Next time I'll this. You know, it's amazing to me that Instagram doesn't have this like ability to filter when things were posted. You just kind of go on there and click Reels and it just decides to give you whatever it wants. There's not really any controls over this. Is this really the size of this woman? What? I mean, she's very small. Oh, 4'11". All right, okay, she is really small. Oh, come on, you're wearing the 7-inch stacks by Demania. Those are the 7-inch stacks by Demania. I mean, that still puts her pretty tall. That's like what, 5'11"? That's an inch taller than I am. That's quite the size difference, which seems to be like the prevailing fetish at the moment, doesn't it? The girl has to be itty bitty tiny small, and the guy needs to be fucking gigantic, regardless of compatible personalities or traits or whatever. As long as that's there, you're good. I think the disparity between heights of the genders as the generations go on, because of this dating preference that has suddenly arisen out of nowhere, is going to be quite drastic. Oh, this is like the goth emo basketball player. I've seen this chick. Representing on the court. You've never seen it before. You've never seen it before. This is the first time. Unprecedented, you could say. Unreal. What a very, very tall woman. That's so crazy. You've never seen it before. I've never seen it. And I watch loads of basketball. I will say with this, man, one of the things I've struggled to really get into is basketball. Just sports in general. I'm still not into it. Mainly because sports is like a terrestrial television event. And I've not had terrestrial television ever since I moved here in like 2010. So, did you watch the game last night? Shut up. Oh, it's that Emma chick again. I was like, oh, more of that cringy ass bouncing, and then here it is. When men say goth girls don't look good without all that makeup on, some of them do. I'm not really a big makeup guy. I can wear it. I just mean girls wearing shit tons of makeup. Not that I have any preferences outside of my girl, but anyone else noticing something here? Anyone else picking up on this? Anyone else? You guys seen this? I'm pretty sure girl's got a filter on her face. I'm almost 100% this chick's got a filter on her face. Is anything about this woman real? Yeah, her fucking nose is moving and warping around. Well, the bouncing, dude. Not that these chicks are having kids, right? Because they fell hook, line, and sinker for the social programming of antinatalism. Yeah, let's not have kids. Just get a cat instead. How's that fulfillment going on? Are we feeling fulfilled? But let's say, hypothetically, these chicks do have kids. Grandmother. Yes, my child. What were you doing back in the 2020s? Please tell us about that wonderful time before the machines took over. What were you doing, Granny? Well, it all got deleted. Oh, that's such a shame. I really do hope you weren't one of those bouncing, brainless bimbos. Found a goth cliche. I found another one. Fell for the digital dupe that was, hey, Rock Lobster by the B-52s is a goth song. It's not. Again, hook, line, sinker. Fell for it. Gotcha, bitch! And then you've also got the Ankh underneath the eye. Obviously, since they're lacking the belt to go with it.
Oh, should we leave it alone? Should we back off? Should we play it safe? Nah, you think let's make it bigger?
That is one of the most relatable goth memes I think we could probably come up with, right? I would credit overlined lips. In fact, I would credit the bombastic makeup that a lot of goths do with this very concept, the mistake of accidentally going a little bit too far or smudging it a bit. So instead of trying to redo it or erase the mistake that you've made, you just kind of make it bigger. It's like, oh, my lips are perfect, lip line is perfect. Oh, I just colored outside the lines. No bother. I just make all the lines the same size. Now I've got a giant mouth. I think I would honestly credit this mistake with such permanent tools, such stark shades and colors that we use. Our porcelain alabaster white skin and these highly pigmented dark reds and blacks. It's such undeniable contrast, right? You can't hide a mistake on this kind of stuff with these tools of art. So you do tend to I'll just go over it because it's really obvious. That's why goths are so good at doing their makeup, man. They can't afford to make the mistakes, right? Or they can so many times before you accidentally end up just doing blackface because your winged eyeliner got out of hand. You guys enjoying your summer? Southern Hemispherians? How's your winter? I mean, that does need to be addressed, to be perfectly honest. Because it's spelt like this. Okay? This is how you spell it. Now let's actually tackle what she pointed out here. Yes, you can listen to other music. In fact, you are most likely, being a child of the era that you were born in, probably after the millennium or slightly before it, going to like other music, more modern music, music that isn't late 70s, early 80s post-punk and gothic rock, you're probably not going to like that as much as stuff that you probably grew up with that actually did inspire you to get into the goth look, okay? You weren't completely normal, and then you went on Tumblr one day, and people were like, it's The Cure, you gotta listen to The Cure, otherwise you're not goth. And like, oh, okay, and then you listen to The Cure, and then you're suddenly goth, and that's all you listen to all day, every day. My approach with it is, you can acknowledge where goth came from, in terms of the bands that were pioneering their very specific, at the time, unique sound, and the goth subculture that, despite their protests, was spawned from their pioneering. Seriously, goth bands really do hate goths. They hated them, like, a lot. They wanted to try and do their own thing. They didn't want to be labeled. And then you brats were like, oh no, but we're goth and you're goth, and you can't be goth unless you listen to this band that didn't even want to be goth in the first place. Makes a lot of sense. But my approach is the same with metal, okay? You can acknowledge, if you want, where metal came from, right? With Black Sabbath. And all of the bands throughout the decades that were far more successful than the goth subculture, by the way, that led to Sleep Token. I don't know where it went wrong, okay, but it did. But you can be a metalhead just listening to the new shit or the new stuff that came out when you were a teenager and discovering the subculture, or, you know, some of the new stuff that you got into in your 20s, whatever. General rule of thumb, if a goth is telling you to do something, just don't do it. Goths are not really, or shouldn't really be, in the business of telling people what to do or how to be goth. I know I do that a lot, and I know I play the joke probably a little bit too long, but I'm not playing it anymore. But my ethos has always been, will always be, there are no rules for how you get into goth. This isn't like everyone, if there's no rules, then everyone's just gonna be a goth. No. That's not how this works. There are core interests. There's a lot in the history of goth that suggests there is way more to the goth subculture than the music. Way more. Even the pioneers of these bands have said this. The history predates. It goes way back. Before the 70s. In fact, it goes even back into the 60s, musically speaking. Culturally speaking, further beyond that. And it has permeated into the 90s, yes, in the form of certain new metal bands and industrial. Look, you can acknowledge that or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change the fact that these things are responsible. And shock rock as well. It does not change the fact that these things were still there, perpetuating, maintaining the Gothic subculture. It's why it's still here now. And in my research, I've noticed that Marilyn Manson and Trent Reznor are mentioned multiple times. Do you remember when I said Manson was goth? And you guys were like, no, it's not, it's shock rock. And I was thinking to myself, what's a shock rock band called? But despite the music, separate from the music, there are many different ways to get into goth. A goth should not be telling you qualifiers for becoming one, okay? You know you are one or you're not. If these qualifiers are not familiar to other goths, who gives a shit? Too many people, and I said this in my last video, too many people are wrapped up in this idea of performative goth. They've seen what goth is being presented as on social media, and they're doing that. And they're doing their stupid, cringy dances in their bedrooms, completely missing the point. Do you know how many people have tried to tell me that I'm not a goth and that I'm a poser? Has it stopped me? Has it changed anything? Has it? You begin to wonder why people even bother saying things like this. You have these self-righteous, sanctimonious ideologues and their sycophants doing this whole, oh, you're not allowed into this thing, into the subculture if you're this or that. First of all, it's not yours. I've said this before, but it needs to be said again until it gets through to them. It's not yours. Even geographically speaking, goth is from here. It's not for you Americans to start saying who is and who isn't allowed in it. It's from here. It's British. If you want to talk about cultural appropriation, Exhibit A. Secondly, you are not from the original OG goth period. You're not them. You don't represent them. You don't speak for them. They do. So in terms of chronologically speaking, it's not yours either. You just appropriated it. You joined it whenever you became aware of it. So there's two things. A third thing, how, and I still haven't been given an answer for this, how do any of you plan to enforce this bullshit? You're not allowed in, we shouldn't let them in. How do you plan to do this? This is performative virtue signaling. It's good words to say, spicy sentences to excite the masses, the demographic that you surround yourself in order to prop up your career. Because if you have fans that are cultish in their dedication, then you're immovable, right? You cannot be dethroned because any support for you is not going to be rooted in logic, which is what you're lacking. This is why people do this. They surround themselves in cultish psychopaths, because whenever push comes to shove, whenever there's an aggressor, an attacker, a detractor, then it doesn't matter what good points are made against the individual, what logic is provided or evidence. If you have surrounded yourself with cultish psychopaths, they're going to ignore this to preserve the thing that supports and maintains their own beliefs. You see what I'm saying? We shouldn't let them in. It's ours to keep them out of our sub. This is complete bullshit. How the hell do you plan on enforcing something like this? How you couldn't possibly. It's just good words to say, and then you move on, and then no one's been like, okay, cool, yeah, I love that. How are we gonna do it? How are we gonna keep them out? Do we put like cool armbands on them or something so we can identify them? Should we round them up? Should we dox them and attack them online to make sure that they never show up to the shows or something? Should we become aggressive in person to deter them from showing up? Should we do that? You're playing with fire. This is why the left is getting so violent. You are dehumanizing your opposition, okay? This is where this animosity is coming from. You're no longer viewing people who don't think like you as just someone with a different opinion. You're seeing them as a subhuman opposition, an animal, someone who has compromised or sacrificed their humanity to pursue their evil schemes and their dastardly ideologies. It's dangerous, really dangerous route you're going down. It really is. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this video. I had a great day today. See you next time, everybody.